Hi, I'm Jameson Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers Podcast.
What's Scooby-Doo running from a spooky ghost?
It's refreshment time, folks.
Are either one of these any good?
Do you like scary movies?
I don't watch movies.
I have to return some videotapes.
You have a TV? No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call Michelle. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
Finish him.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and the Weather Channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Frog Bros Podcast. Episode 107.
107.
I just clipped the fuck out of that mic when I did that.
Yeah, you did.
Shaggy.
Oh, God.
So, another day, another dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I was just thinking about? The
Tits.
Power Rangers. Well, that's always I think everyone does that. It's good for your mental health. When the Power Rangers would all wear like the same colored clothes as they would, you know, to represent the Ranger, which is also like racially stereotyping at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, Tommy doesn't stay green. He starts dressing in all white after he changes color, and you're like, huh. That's kind of fucked up, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
So
They made a way to find that stereotype to continue it, because when they switched Zords, Billy, played by a gay man, has the unicorn Zord.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd be pretty psyched to have a unicorn Zord, too. So, at the same time, give me a blue unicorn Zord.
Yeah, I'm surprised they try to call it like the Pegasus sword or something else. But then again, that is
Peg.
well, at the
Pegasus.
time, that wasn't a phrase. I don't think.
You know.
The term pegging, I believe, came from Dan Savage's column. He helped name that term during his sex advice column. I think that's what I heard.
Expert in pegging, are you?
Oh, Pegasus. No, I just like to be well-rounded and knowledgeable about things in the world.
Who invented the term sounding?
That's a good question. I don't know. Have you ever sounded?
No.
Sound off in the comments.
I'm horrified by that concept.
Sound off in the comments. I wish people could leave audio reviews of this and do sounding in the comments. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be like the next level of evolution in podcasting and entertainment interaction.
Imagine if somebody and bear with me here.
Okay. You with the bear or...
No.
Oh, okay.
Before you get
Okay.
too horrified, listen to what I have to say before
Okay.
it goes too far, right? You take a guitar string. Now hold on.
You're really scaring me here.
Exactly.
That
I know.
sounds painful.
You take, I don't know, a hot glue gun or something, and you cover like the first 3 inches of it in that. And that way, when you slip that into your peen, you get
near
nothing
urethra.
bad.
Yeah, okay.
But you do it with 6 strings.
Oh, for the
And then you separate it onto a bridge. And you make a
6
guitar.
strings, okay.
And then you play a metal album that way. Would that be the most brutal album of all time, you think?
Yes, but you know what the most peaceful album of all time to do that way would be? To take some nylon ukulele strings, do the same thing. You only need 4 strings, though. So maybe you don't got, a large urethra. Maybe you got an average urethra.
The way I would do it, too, the drums, is by hitting each drum individually with my cock really hard.
And then
really fucking hard. It would hurt a lot. And then just sampling that.
Well, it would sound like you're using a brush because you'd still have the strings in there. So it sounds like you're drumming with brushes.
Yeah, you'd have to do the drumming first, obviously.
Oh, I guess so.
You'd have to do a lot of writing and precursing to this, but I think you could get there. I think it would work.
Sounds like a concept album. If anyone out there is willing to do it with it, he's got everything you need. Lubricants and...
I have pornographic movies.
Way to jump off the rails. So it's my birthday week, so I got some picks. I picked a hot trifling garbage of a movie, but it's not completely bad. But it's not good either. But we'll get to that.
Role models? It doesn't hold up as much as I thought it would.
There's a lot of shit in there that didn't age well. It's still pretty funny, but it's just one of those that,
We'll get there when we get there. That's pretty, I know exactly what you mean. I was expecting to have a much better time. And I was like,
Well, that just shows that we've grown as individuals.
I'd rather watch I Love You, Man. That one still holds up.
Yes, it does. I love that flick.
Like, those came out around the same time, and they both have Paul Rudd, so like they kind of just identify in my head together. But,
yeah.
In unison.
Thor: Love and Thunder trailer dropped today.
Yeah, it did. It was mildly entertaining, I guess.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it was the most basic Marvel trailer I think I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of people commenting like, hey, they really shouldn't even release that. There's just something. And I'm like, well, they got to start the marketing at some point in time. I mean, we've known the movie title. We've seen the logo
Isn't it coming out this
forever.
summer?
Yeah, it comes out in July, I believe.
God damn.
So we've got new movies coming out the ass here pretty quick. Like, once May hits, it's going to be fucking full-on movie reviews and
Top Gun was pushed again until next year, wasn't it?
No. Top Gun got moved up to May of this year.
May of this year?
It was July. It just got moved to May 27th.
Oh.
They released another trailer for Top Gun, if you didn't see it, which basically you see Rooster, Goose's son, like getting pissed off at Tom Cruise and blaming him for his dad's death.
Rooster? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, it's because he's a cocksucker.
He better be sucking cock in that movie with that dick tickler on his face.
Well, what else are you supposed to do? And the only reason he was cast is not for his acting skills, but because he looks loosely like Anthony Edwards did before he went bald and joined the cast of ER. So does that mean this guy's going to join some medical doctor show soon?
Let me ask you a question. If you could add any actor to the original Top Gun, who would it be? And there's an obvious choice.
Any actor? Instead of somebody, or just add them?
Just add them.
Jim Carrey.
That's a terrible choice.
I know, it's just the worst.
I choose Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be funny. I would watch that.
Do you recall who plays Merlin?
Is that... Wait, Merlin, is that Tim Robbins?
Yes. And if he's not back in the sequel, I'm going to be pissed, because how do you not fucking have Tim Robbins in this movie? Way fucking underrated in that movie.
Yeah.
But he's there at the end to redeem himself, so...
What else is in that? Well, Goose is also in Revenge of the Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
What is what's the guy at the beginning of the movie's name?
Cougar?
Yeah, Cougar. Who's Cougar? Who plays Cougar again?
Wasn't he in Stand By Me? Or not Stand By Me, but he was in let's look it up here real quick.
People are like, this is fucked. So yeah.
Yeah.
During this...
John Stockwell played Cougar.
Cougar was number one. Now you're number one.
Cougar lost his nerve and turned in his wings. You guys are number one. I gotta do something. I just don't... Yeah, he's so good in that. And as a kid, not realizing that actors are in a bunch of movies and stuff, I'm like, why the fuck's the principal in this movie? But I loved it anyway, because he's such a hard-headed asshole in those...
Yeah.
He's I hope they fucking commemorate the movie to him.
No Maverick ever amounted to anything in the history of Top Gun.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. John Stockton. Let's see his IMDb, because I'm sure it's amazing. Oh, he looks haggard as fuck now.
Your ego's writing checks your body can't cash, Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that shit. What is he in?
Oh, he's in Top Gun. He's in Christine, which I knew from that. That makes sense.
Nothing else?
I mean, there's a lot on his IMDb. I'm not going to say a lot of it's stuff that I've seen or think is worth viewing.
Well, yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Which one? OG?
The series. That's incredible.
Actually, I'd probably watch that series. I think it has things to offer for sure. But
yeah. Yeah, no, he's the football player in Christine, which I always forget about. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking Cougar. Just because he's like, he's a good side character, but he's not like, oh, it's all about him.
if you haven't yet,
if you haven't turned this shit off,
follow us on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast.
We were brainstorming earlier, and we came up with one of the greatest, dumbest ideas of the world.
Yeah, you'll get to that. I'm going to show you now one of the...
we may have foreskin shadowed some of the content.
One of the more recent TikTok songs that I came up with. Just another dumb rap song. There's a video to it, though. You can see it on our Instagram or our TikTok. And if you're old and you don't have a TikTok, just fucking go ahead and get a TikTok.
And I work with old people, and by old people I mean people older than me, and they're into TikTok, so it's a weird thing that young people really prefer it, but there's old farts that like it too.
It's just the easiest way to get your stuff seen. But anyway, here's the newest one. It's just called Spooky Shit.
I like spooky shit like Scooby-Doo, I admit. Necronomicon, horror movies, 16-bit. Castlevania, X-Files, the Satanic Bible. Betty White and Lake Placid feeding crocodiles. Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, while I listen to Typo. Bram Stoker, Stephen King, John Carpenter's The Thing. Morticia, Elvira, Lily Munster, and Vampira. All the goth babes that I wish I was inside of.
Classic.
Yes. That's a very, very... That's very like 80s hip-hop, right? With like the basic rhyming in there and just kind of being silly and free with it.
A little bit. It's
the beat's newer than that, obviously, but the vocal style and
the beat's definitely influenced by like the trap style 3-6 Mafia shit, but it's also...
Was that the Goosebumps theme song?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Goosebumps theme sampled on that one, obviously, and then... yeah, the beat's pretty much a cross between what you'd hear on like a Beastie Boys album like License to Ill or and the 3-6 stuff, like, you know, somewhere in there, I guess. I don't know. Really not too concerned about what it sounds like to people. More just how it sounds to me now. So that's fun. Check that shit out. Also, follow us on Patreon. You can subscribe for only $3. Patreon.com/Frog Bros Podcast.
If you are on the video feed, I'm showing off the custom labels I made for the Play-Doh slime made by Hasbro. Very much a similar replacement. Probably consistency and everything inside the can's exactly what the Ghostbuster slime would have been had it made it to store shelves in the U.S., but that's a free download if you want to print these off and glue them to your or tape them to your canister. Just something fun to do because there's a big hole. Like, how do you sell Ghostbusters without slime? And I know Jason Reitman is not a big fan of the slime, which is why there was like no slime on any of the actors in the movie. It was all just residual stuff on background shots.
Well, you know.
What else?
Some weekly pickups.
Yeah.
I have a Rodan figure from the Playmates line.
Rodan!
And these are like the softer style figures, and pardon me for not knowing the correct term for these that they use for toy collecting and shit, but either way. They're like the soft vinyl ones and stuff.
Okay. Who made these?
These are made by Playmates, if I'm not... Yes, Playmates.
Oh, okay. Huh.
They have a whole line. These are only like $12.99 at Target has them. They've had the Jet Jaguar for a while, and I've seen the Final Wars Godzilla, but I saw Rodan for the first time and figured, oh, you know what, I'm going to finally pick up Jet Jaguar and that, because, you know, I've never seen a Jet Jaguar store and just seen it in a figure before, so, you know, obviously. And I like the vinyl style for these, so...
If you're into Ghostbusters collecting, which maybe you are if you're listening, the Ecto-1 Real Ghostbusters re-release is hitting Walmart shelves, finally. Very few of those hit shelves originally. Like, most of that was all online pre-orders, I think. But I've been seeing them around town, so if you never got one or you're wanting to do the 1A, Moby Sign Company on Etsy has a really great reproduction of the stickers for the 1A if that's what you're wanting to do with your second version. So
Now, the day that we're recording this, too, is the street date for a lot of these Jurassic World Dominion toys to start appearing. I
Yes.
did see like a huge Nerf gun that had Dominion label on it, too. That was a Jurassic World gun of some sort.
nice.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, I love the Nerf guns, man. Those are easy to repaint and have a great prop replica for a cosplay. So,
If they're accurate to something, especially, and if not, it could be
well, they're
close
usually
enough.
most people are able to like 3D print just extra parts now, and so you can actually make stuff super accurate pretty easy. So,
I just mean that gun might not even be something that's in the movie. It might just be a fucking
yeah.
random-looking gun.
could be.
Because they do that shit, too.
Either way, I mean, people do that all the time for shit. Just repaint it and haul it around.
Yeah, so,
Lots of toys coming out this summer. Lots of movies coming out. And I still can't believe the amount of fucking Eternals figures on the shelves. Can, like, we get rid of all that shit? The last toy pickup I had, because I really haven't been doing a lot of buying, I've got other things going on. I picked up, the little Marvel Legends figures, the little tiny ones. Found one of the Amazing Spider-Man. They're at the $10 price point. They're like the size of the most of the reaction figures. I found the Spider-Man one, and I bought that because at her grandma's house as kids, she had some Spider-Man stuff from the 70s cartoon, so she had a little Spider-Mobile that Spider-Man drove in that, and a little Spider-Man that was about that size. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I bought that just because it reminded me of that, and I'm like, ooh, I might need to go look for that on eBay. I might need to track
I'm actually remembering, do you remember Spider-Man, the animated series, having Happy Meal toys? And those were so cool because they were some of the villains and shit.
Yeah.
Track those down. I'd like to get those.
I remember one of the first times, even as kids, like doing custom toys before they had the Scarlet Spider was like, the Clone Saga was really big in the comics at the time when that came out. So I remember my friend Joel like hand painting Spider-Man red and trying to like make a little Scarlet Spider shirt for him. So he painted everything red, but like kept the eyes on there and did a custom.
Wait,
McDonald's
holy
toy.
shit! I think I remember that because did it have cloth? It was actual cloth that he put blue on there. I remember something like that.
Yeah, but it was just one of the little McDonald's Spider-Man figures, and he had two of them, so we painted one red, and we made the Scarlet Spider out of it. Pretty cool stuff.
I don't know. That's weird.
Which Scarlet Spider figures are crazy expensive. Now, the current line has the Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure of the Spider-Man waves from the classic stuff, which is pretty cool. But it's got that new Spider-Man artwork, and I had a first... And you may have it since you have all the comics I had as a kid. We didn't take care of them. We read the fuck out of them, beat them up. But I think I had the first appearance of that Spider-Man costume, of the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume on there.
There's a couple of those, but they're in the worst shape because those were the ones that we read I read those the most, the Scarlet Spider ones. I love Scarlet Spider.
We only had a handful of them. Like I had some Planet of the Symbiotes with Venom and stuff, and those are the two-sided issues. So you'd read one way through a story, and then you flipped it over.
Yeah, one of
to
those is
another.
missing the cover entirely.
Yeah,
it's depressing. But then I have a couple other ones. I think I still have the reprint of the first issue of Spider-Man.
Oh, nice. Amazing Fantasy number 13.
The 3 alternate covers for the first issue of X-Men I still have.
Was it number 13? Amazing Fantasy number 13? Is that it?
No, it's Spider-Man number 1.
Oh, Spider-Man number 1.
Like the Amazing... It's whatever. It's a reprint, though.
Yeah.
Like an anniversary edition.
Oh, Amazing Fantasy 15. I don't know what the fuck.
The oldest comic in there is an Avengers that I could find. Is an Avengers West Coast from like 1989.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Amazing Fantasy number 15 is the debut of Spider-Man.
Actually, now that I have Alf comics, those are older, I'm sure.
Oh. Nice. Fuck yeah, Alf. I love Alf's comeback, his resurgence.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
a
here
beautiful
for it.
thing. If you start seeing any new Alf merchandise, fucking hit us up if you don't see us talking about it, because we'd love to know.
Yeah.
Want to jump into a top 5?
Yeah, we're gonna hit that up now.
Top 5. 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 Top 5.
This is top 5.
The top 5 discontinued foods, drinks, beverages, snacks,
and such.
Mm-hmm. This is a hard fucking list to do.
Yeah,
because like, do you go by?
I went with things that obviously Dunkaroos here. I'm gonna eat some of these during this. We got
chocolate one.
Well, they're all chocolate, I think.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Because I know what I'm up to here.
Ooh, and these are better than the gas station packs.
Yeah. Booger, you can't have Dunkaroos. I guess you could have a cracker by itself or whatever cookie.
It's like you are a cracker by yourself. Oh, yeah, he likes that. Dunkaroos. Get as much frosting as you choose. A little mukbang for you here.
So anyway.
Creamy beige.
What's your number 5? I went with stuff that could either be still discontinued, has come back sometimes and gone, but as long as it was gone for an extended period of time, and like Dunkaroos are back right now, but they haven't been back for very long, so.
No. My number 5 is the Yoplait custard-style yogurts. I used to love the fucking banana and the creme brulee. Those are so fucking good. Now, they've recently re-released those in a new style container, but they used to have the same style as all the other Yoplait canisters. And they did some whips for a while, which I don't know if they still make those or not, but I don't eat dairy anymore, so. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Pepsi Blue, which was a berry-flavored Pepsi beverage from 2002 to 2004. Briefly brought back in July 2021. And it wasn't even necessarily the best thing, but it was cool. And I liked it in aesthetic and shit. Like, it was just dope. So that's my number 5, Pepsi Blue.
My number 4 is the Cream Savers candies. I used to eat those all the time around the turn of the century.
Go.
For you kids that may not know what the turn of the century means, that means around the late 90s to early 2000s.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
The turn of the century.
No, like what was your pick?
Cream Savers candies. They had those little strawberry Cream Savers candies. Those things were good. Supposedly they re-released those in the last couple of years, and you can only get them at Big Lots. Random and obscure.
My number 4 is Dunkaroos. They're back now, thankfully.
Well, my number 3 is going to be the Spider-Man cereal from the 90s.
Oh, shit. That's a pick. Because
Now-
I didn't remember that at all. I couldn't. God damn it.
So this is twofold because it's basically the Ninja Turtle cereal. Because the Ninja Turtle cereal was like a white rice. It was like the rice Chex.
Chex, right? Yes.
Chex with...
This is like Spider-Man the Animated Series, the cereal, right?
But the Ninja Turtles was like the same. So it was like the same formula, basically, because it was marshmallows with these Chex, right? Perfect. Because the Chex shape, like, they kind of try to play off as, like, turtle shell-looking things. I get it, no big deal. And then, obviously, for Spider-Man, it looked like the web of the spider, so... but that cereal was amazing. I wish someone would make a vegan cereal or a cereal with marshmallows without the dehydrated marshmallows without gelatin. That would make my day. I would love that.
Yeah. My number 3 is Surge, which has come back recently, but also I wasn't able to find any today. So, and I looked on their website and it basically said, "Yeah, it'll be leaving stores soon, so fuck off." And I was like, "No, I don't even want to drink a lot of it. I just need an occasional can for nostalgic reasons."
Now, as a young child, I used to not eat anything green. Mostly if it was made out of vegetables, which is funny considering now that's all I eat. It's plants. Or plant-derived products. But my number 2 is DNL. It was a 7-Up product.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So
Upside Down 7-Up.
The Upside Down 7-Up, but it was heavily caffeinated, very much like Surge.
Turn your senses upside down or some shit.
Yep, exactly. That was good, though. It was really good for like a Surge knockoff, but it had that...
Booger.
Just that unique 7-Up flavor.
Get off the cables. My guy. Don't mess up the audio, please.
The whole box here is better than the other ones because you don't really have any corners in here, so you can get all the frosting out easier.
Yeah. Although you still get chocolate all over your fucking hands and end up like a filthy child, and you're like, when a child walks up to you like that, you're like, I don't know if that's chocolate or shit. It's 50-50 here.
Well, just look it off your finger and find out.
Bad idea.
My My number 2, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on this podcast before in a top 5 cereals list, maybe.
Go for it.
The Rice Krispie Treat cereal, which I couldn't eat now, but still.
That was one of the best cereals ever.
That shit was insane. The marshmallow flavor would get into the milk, and as it would start to fall apart, you could still get crunchy with it, and it was better than eating just the cereal by itself because it was obviously sugary. And the marshmallow in there, it was fucking delicious.
It had all the marshmallow flavor without being like the Rice Krispies treats you can buy because it was actually crunchy, so it would like break down in the milk a little bit. So the recipe for that it was made out of was amazing.
Yeah.
Now that got discontinued once. It came back a little while later, got discontinued again, came back briefly as Rice Krispies Treat cereal, which was just Rice Krispies with marshmallows added. It was no longer the coated kind.
Yeah.
And the box art for that was amazing because it had like the Rice Krispies Treats, and like the treats was like all filled in with the little treats bars.
Yeah.
Classic.
Number 1?
Ecto Cooler?
Yeah, Ecto Cooler, of course. I didn't know if there was some dumb way you would forget about it, but obviously I've got Ecto Cooler here, and there's some other remnants of it here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any. I need to get some real vintage Ecto Cooler, but
yeah, no, the well, someone's saying that other brand, Juicy Juice or some shit, has a similar flavor out. Which
I'm not talking about flavor. I just mean boxes, the original boxes,
the original
stuff
packaging.
like that.
Yeah,
that's what I need.
Yep, no, that's good stuff. Now, there's a lot of other items that I could mention, like remember the little Kudos snack bars. They're almost like a Rice Krispie snack bar. They had like a Dove chocolate. They had M&Ms or Snickers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They were really small, but they were really fucking good because they're just so basic. They had like a Rice Krispies treat bar almost with a little layer of chocolate on the back and then some candy on top. Fucking phenomenal. Great little treat. Miss those.
There's something I just haven't seen in stores in a while or had, but I come to find out after a Google search, I realized they were still around. Were those like, well, in my age, they were Flintstone-style push-pop sherbet pops.
Mm-hmm.
You can still get some of those now. They're just not Flintstones anymore, as far as I saw.
Yeah, they're different brands. And so, as a kid, we used to get the Schwann's trucks used to sell those, but they'd sell a chocolate frosted version of those, and we'd always get those from the Schwann's man. But the sherbet flavored ones were amazing too.
Trix yogurt.
Trix yogurt was good, but when I was thinking of yogurt, I was like, the yogurt I actually miss is the Yoplait.
I miss the Trix
creme brulee.
Butterfinger BBs.
Reese's
BBs.
Yeah, the Reese's peanut butter cup balls.
French toast crunch.
That was a good one.
I loved that shit.
That had that weird syrup and like fake buttery flavor to it that was so strange. But
the syrup was good. Maybe a little heavy on the butter, but I don't remember too well. And the Oreo cereal.
Yeah.
That shit cut the roof of your mouth, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all the little stuff's attached. Well, any good cereal will just fucking destroy your mouth if you're not patient with it. So there's so many cereals. And then if you like realm outside of just snack treats, which I didn't do, the Pizza Hut Bigfoot pizza, that was a big thing in like the early 90s. And I remember like,
that.
I want to say we had one of those around the time Ninja Turtles 3, the movie was out, was like a cross promotion too.
Fuck yeah.
And so I remember like getting that giant box of pizza and having it all, and just eating that up.
Today
awesome.
I bought Walmart has come out with Little Debbie ice creams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen
So
those.
they finally hit stores though. Like I heard about them 6 months ago. People
Mm-hmm.
are losing their shit over them, and so I'm probably gonna film a dumb review for it for TikTok at least, just because people are gonna eat that shit up. But it's I bought the Cosmic Brownie one.
Nice.
Because of course I'm a brownie chocolate guy, so I was just like, that's the only one worth trying. But they're only like $2.50 or $2.99, so I was like,
is that for like the little Ben and Jerry's sized little pint?
Yeah.
Nice.
For a full pint, I was like, yeah, that's better than Ben and Jerry's. That's better than a lot of these other brands. So I'll give it a shot. They have ones for zebra cakes, which the thing is, I like zebra cakes, but I like chocolate in my ice cream. I can't eat vanilla ice cream, and I was like, nah. They have a Nutter Butter one or whatever, the Nutty Buddies, whatever they're fucking called. I think there's a couple other ones too. They have a oatmeal cream pie one, which I'm curious about because I can make cream pie jokes when I eat it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating the cream pie. Cream pies make me...
Anytime I think of cream pies and I'm not thinking of it in a sexual deviancy manner, I'm thinking of
the cream pie in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Honey, I Shrunk the
Yeah!
Kids. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
good.
And
I was
they're
like-
eating they're just eating that giant thing.
That makes me want to eat a cream pie. An oatmeal cream pie.
Yes.
Out of someone's pussy after I've come on it. No, I'm just kidding. But
are you? Would you do that for real?
But maybe hit me up.
And DM Alec. He's ready and available.
Yes.
Or something like that. Booger's available too, but you can't touch him because he's our mascot, not yours.
I should get some oatmeal cream pies, though, because he could eat one.
Yeah, he could. He'll eat the cream pie. He's a good cleanup crew. Yeah. Speaking of random ass Pizza Hut shit, you remember all the Pizza Hut basketballs we had from the 90s? They had the promo, you could get a basketball.
I remember the puppets they had in different shit, too, that you could get there. Land Before Time puppets, right?
They did the Land Before Time puppets, and they also did, like, the Flipper movie puppets.
Didn't they do Jurassic Park, like the Lost World ones, too, I think?
I don't know.
'Cause I remember
about
they had
that.
raptors.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I do know that I was at my friend's house in, like, the 5th grade or 6th grade, something around there, like when everyone's too cool for that stuff, and the Flipper movie is out, and his mom, like, embarrassed the fuck out of him by ordering us each a little Flipper hand puppet from Pizza Hut with the pizza she ordered. And so
How fucking sweet, though.
She fucking totally trolled him, and then she wouldn't let me go home without taking it. So, like, I had that little thing for a while, and Lord knows what happened to that. But
Damn, I wish you still had that.
yeah, that's
fucking
obscure
Elijah
shit.
Wood and Paul Hogan, man.
Fuck yeah, man.
I like SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
I eat SpaghettiOs. It's like one of those things that fucking Paul Hogan eats lots of SpaghettiOs in that movie. You've never seen the movie Flipper. I don't really recommend it unless you... want to torture yourself a little bit. I probably wouldn't watch it again.
We need to go back and find some obscure, like, movie promotional tie-ins and review the movie just to talk about the tie-ins.
It's true.
And that'd be a top candidate right there. But we'd have to watch VHS. Like, you can't just get a digital copy of Flipper and act like your life's okay. You gotta go VHS all the way for that.
Well, I guess we should get on to this movie.
This movie.
It's from 2008. What do you think this qualifies as?
I mean, fuck, 2008 was...
Yeah, I mean, I know. I guess it's...
You know what I just watched? Me pulling a can off some moron's fist? Return of the Jedi.
Did you see Alien?
14 years ago, I saw this in the theater. It feels like yesterday. I am old. I'm going to die soon.
You ever see that really old movie?
Tomorrow, I have an appointment to pick out my casket because I'm old.
I'm not gonna get buried. I'm gonna get cremated.
Well, I have an appointment to pick out my urn. Feel the same thing. Whatever.
I don't know what kind of urn I want. Have you thought about it?
I want to be smoked, and then...
Yeah, but don't you want part of you to be left behind?
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe turn me into a butt plug or something fun.
Well, can I keep your skin and make it a lampshade? Something weird, and then burn the rest of you? Just assuming that I'm going to live.
No, but you
longer than
can make condoms out of my intestines. Not for you to use, but to sell. Real human intestine condoms.
We could also just make Alex sausages. Cannibalism may be a thing by then because we're destroying the planet, so...
True. I mean, I might die in, next week from nuclear holocaust, and then you could really do with some Alex sausages. You have to name if you're going to do that, you still have to name the brand after me. So when society does reconstruct, in the history books, they will know that the fast food chain that they all eat at called Alex Sausages started out as cannibalism.
Like Nathan's hot dogs.
Exactly.
Huh. These started out by being made by Alec.
His corpse.
Please pass the fill.
He was so dedicated to this cause that they actually cut his legs off first, and he made the first sausages himself, out of his own legs. And he tried them. They were delicious. Please pass the fill.
Yeah. It's funny, we just considered we just reviewed Fresh, so...
Yeah.
Little cannibalism movie there.
So Role Models is directed by David Wayne, who directed Wet Hot American Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Also starring Paul Rudd and Ken Marino.
So the screenplay was written by David Wayne, Paul Rudd,
Ken Marino, and another guy.
and Timothy Dowling. So that's pretty interesting that they all worked together writing this. So you got Paul Rudd as Danny, Sean William Scott as Wheeler, right? And you're like, is he going to work in this movie? And he does surprisingly well because he's not being the Stifler character that he's kind of...
He's kind of annoying, though, to me.
He is, but he's not as annoying as he is when he's Stifler.
He's the worst part in this movie still. Christopher Mintz-Plasse coming hot off of, Superbad at the time, so...
Yep.
Bobby J. Thompson, who's from Kansas City.
As Ronnie.
Elizabeth Banks, Jane Lynch, Ken Jeong, Ken Marino, Matt Walsh, Keegan Michael Key, Joe Tacome. There's lots of random little people in there, too. Pop up.
It's funny that he's from Kansas City, but he's fucking hilarious in this movie. He's like the star. Like he's like...
See, that's what didn't hold up for me.
Him?
Both of them.
Oh.
Paul Rudd is the only thing I could really tolerate in this movie. And Elizabeth Banks is fine, but her character is the bitchy girlfriend, so it's like she doesn't get room to do much either. Jane Lynch is funny, though. And Christopher Mintz-Plasse is okay. I will admit the kid's better than Sean William Scott in this. Sean William Scott's attire is atrocious.
Oh,
Just his clothes and his fashion choices and the way his attitude is. And it's like, this is written almost in a cringy way where they're still trying... Like, you can tell they're influenced by Harold Ramis and Ivan Reitman and all these other directors like that of the time with these titty comedies.
Yeah.
Because they're like, ooh, all these hot chicks want to bang Stifler. No. Look at this guy. I am sorry. No.
Yeah, it's
just a little weird and cringy. They're always just like throwing their fucking tits at him and grabbing his dick and weird shit. And I'm like, this is, what is this? Who wrote this? Did they think that this is them?
Well, yeah, it wanted to have that throwback vibe to like the 80s comedies, but it...
But that being said, I've always liked this movie this is my most recent viewing, and I've never really had these feelings before, so I was kind of like, huh. I mean, I've always not really liked Sean William Scott, but in a couple of things here and there, but...
Yeah, a lot of people say his best movies where he's that hockey player, whatever the hell that's called, and people say I've never seen it, so...
Goon, because he actually does some acting that's not just typical asshole or dumbass.
Yeah.
But I like him in Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah, he's fine in that.
I always forget that that's him because in an American Pie, which, again, I won't watch. I just hate that shit. But it's just not my thing. It's trifling cringe to me. And so is he, for the most part. But, he has a small appearance in, like, what is that, Old School?
Oh, yeah.
When he has the fucking mullet and he... does
he's
that
the
cameo with the...
He's the animal trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as someone pointed out, he's really good as Country Mac and It's Always Sunny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, not my cup of tea.
I don't know. This movie is kind of one of those things where it just didn't... Some of the comedy holds up and is pretty funny. Like, Paul Rudd's...
Isn't he making lots of gay jokes and shit, too?
There's a lot of those in there. Which, like I said, some of this just hasn't aged very well. Yeah. Paul Rudd's character is relatable just because he's kind of he's in a rut, right? And he's clearly going through that.
They did a lot of improvising on the set of this movie, too, because of the writer's strike the previous year.
Oh, yeah.
So they didn't have time to do rewrites, but they kind of had in their head what they knew and had discussed about what they couldn't actually write, so they improvised a lot. And there's some good stuff like that. So they start out with, they're in the Minotaur building, and they have where the movie opens up, fucking Sean William Scott Wheeler gets out of the car. And he's like, guess what I did last night? And he has him smell his fingers. And I'm like, yeah, that again would be funny to me if I was 17, 18 even maybe, around that age range, up to 20.
Well, when this movie came out, that was like, okay, that was still kind of laughable. But now you're at a point where you're like, again, some of this doesn't age as well because that's kind of one of those things where an 80s comedy wouldn't have done something quite like that. They may have made comments.
It would make sense if the character wasn't 30.
Yeah.
If the character was 17, it would be funny. 18 even. Then you'd get a laugh out of it. And if it was like...
But the fact that it's a grown-ass man doing that, you're like...
Yeah.
And he's sober, right? Like that's some like drunk level person shit that you'd see, or somebody's like fucked up on drugs and be like, check this out.
Yeah, so they're doing anti-drug speeches with this fucking Minotaur energy drink, basically.
Yeah, so they're basically selling Minotaur, which is hilarious because it's like... social commentary, but at the same time very real, because like this is like the peak of Red Bull when everything else started coming out. Like Red Bull was huge and Monster started taking off, and
yeah,
all the Rockstar and all that shit.
One of the first jokes that I actually like in there is the rock and roll all night and part of every day.
And part of every day is like, yeah, no,
I
it's
can
like
rock
2 to
and roll
3.
from like 1 to 3.
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours a day. Yeah, that's great. And I love how Paul Rudd's character hates Kiss because Kiss is so fucking terrible.
I hate Kiss.
Like, it pays off at the end of the movie because that scene's actually funny. Just because it's absurd, but the whole fucking concept of Kiss is insanely absurd.
Yeah.
But Sean William Scott's character, like, fucking just loving Kiss is like...
Yeah, they have a surprise party for him for his, like, work anniversary, which he's not psyched about because he doesn't like working there, obviously. He wants to do something cooler. And then I like this coffee shop scene a lot, too, with Paul Rudd. Again, the stuff with Paul Rudd is fucking gold.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in there arguing with a coffee lady about, actually, venti means 20. Tall also means large. Grande is Spanish for large, and venti is Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Yes, that's hilarious.
And it's called venti because it's 20 ounces. Is that true?
Yeah, I love how he's pissed off about that because he has a point, but
I always
at the same time, it's so fucking pretentious that people want to use that as their names for drinks. Like,
I hate it.
Fuck
Yeah,
off. Like,
I will just order it as medium or large or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I don't fucking use the lingo. Like, don't be an asshole. More importantly, though, I don't really go to Starbucks because.
Oh, we get a little call back to our area here. With he tells him we got to be at Blue Valley Middle by 2:00 or whatever. Paul Rudd went to Blue Valley Middle, which is in our area.
Which is hilarious that he throws that in there because I'm sure he's just ad-libbing and going by what he knows, right? That was probably one of those.
Well, yeah, he wasn't even his line, though. It was a Sean William Scott line, so it's probably written in the script because he helped write it, so. And I love when she's in this is one of the funny bits, too, Again, Sean William Scott, nowhere to be found. Elizabeth Banks, as a lawyer, talking to the guy, and he's like, that's not me.
Oh,
Here I am, David Groban, stealing TVs.
He's like, that's not me. There's lots of bald men in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good, and Elizabeth Banks usually can be amazing, but like you said, they just have her being the bitchy girlfriend in here, so they don't really give her much to do, and like she's such a stereotype, like you can't even like, nothing stands out about her role. It's not performed good or bad, it's just like fucking so stereotyped, it's boring.
Yeah. I like that Paul Rudd freaks out. She's like, you freaked out at that other person last week, and he's like, oh, she said ASAP. It's like 24/7, all this other shit. You hate that too.
Yeah.
Relate to that, just like hating things that certain things people do.
Being a misanthrope is every New Yorker's God-given right.
Right. Oh, and he says about the guy sitting in her office, he looks like Phil Collins. And then he gets broken up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes
after
back.
his irrational proposal.
Yeah. Then he goes to work, where he's like, people do drugs. Why? Because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And they realize if his life is pain, and if you smoke something or take some pills, that it'll go away for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Then he just has a fucking meltdown, and then they have the incident in the parking lot where they're getting towed, and he's like, no, fuck this. And he gets in the car or the truck and drives and gets it caught on a statue. Kind of cheesy, whatever.
Yeah.
150 hours of community service. Not really too much to add in that scene. Nothing funny there.
Yeah, some of this movie just the plot to get everything set up, or like where they do the whole little Biggs thing, and like the one guy that's the really annoying Big, he's like, I'm on my 5th year here.
Yeah.
And that guy's fucking annoying.
Jane Lynch is pretty great, though.
She's fucking hilarious in there, and I love the fucking stupid video she shows, like, right at the beginning where she's in it, and then
My mother was a whore by necessity.
And then she fucking dances around the TV, like, after she's so proud of the video she stars in.
Yeah, she's
and I love how
amazing.
it's still VHS at the time. It's, like, still standard def TV. It's still,
Yeah.
Because that was right at the time where everyone was really making the conversion to HD TVs.
Yeah, I think the last movies were really being printed on VHS in, like, 2006, so...
Mm-hmm.
Love, take me down to the streets. That's not a Wings song. No, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which is great because they later have a Paul McCartney impersonator sing that song later at the end of the credits. It was written for this movie. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
This is an acceptable hug. This is an unacceptable hug. obviously we're not supposed to butt fuck these kids, he says.
Yeah, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah. That's one of his better lines. I can get away with that. I mean, it's fucked up in nature, but it's not like...
No, it's one of
cringy.
those, yeah, it's like there's probably some stuff that would have been equally as funny that would have aged better, but yeah, for the most part, you're just like, whatever.
I like when they show Augie on the roof, though, and he's fucking around with his sword, and then when he turns off the tape, then you realize the fantasy music is something that he was listening to is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I love when he's like pretending like to grab her boob and kissing and making out. It's so grotesque, but it's fucking hilarious. He's pretty good in this, and he was still young enough then to be like the McLovin character and like be the high school kid again.
Yeah. They take him to Chipmunk Charlie's.
Yeah, well, that's hilarious too.
I'm gonna run a train on these chicken fingers. Nom, 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 nom. That's what they call it. They call it lair instead of LARPing in this.
Yeah.
They go to that, and he's like, "Who's that dork?" And he's like, "The king."
Oh, and
He's
he
like,
refuses
of
to bow
course.
to him. Yeah, Kim Jong.
Yeah. He makes him stop to get orange juice and steals his car. Again, this is pretty just like cringy. Like this should be in a children's movie.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's you know, you're right. Like the dialogue, you change the dialogue to like PG dialogue, and it's very much like one of those like family friendly comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I never thought of it that way. That's a whole new light on this thing right now. But not the whole movie. There's just some of the moments in there that
Well,
you
it's
could do that
mostly
with.
the stuff with the kids, obviously, but
Yeah.
her with the hot dog in a bun or whatever.
And she keeps
what does
poking
that
it,
look like?
Yeah.
What does that look like to you?
Well, I like how deranged she is. Like she's clearly like got good intentions, but she's still fucked up from everything she's been through. So she's clearly like showing signs of mental illness and PTSD and all that shit. But she's still like just open with it and like has good intentions. So
Augie's parents invite Paul Rudd for dinner, and he's like, "Oh no, that's okay. No offense. I just hate having dinner with people."
Yeah,
I relate to that. Yeah, you get sort of some more hangout shit, and where he tells him about Kiss and the pinball machine that I don't give a fuck about.
yeah. Well, the whole spiel on that, and I remember this being a lot funnier. It just hasn't aged as well. And he's like, "It's a song about his dick," and then you're just like, "Yeah, that was funny the first time," and like now you're just like, "Yeah, whatever," because he's telling a kid that, and you're like, "Okay," and like I guess Kiss did write a lot of music about fucking, but whatever.
They go camping, and I love this. Keegan-Michael Key's like, "We're gonna make s'mores with white chocolate," and the other guy's like, "Oh, I don't know if I agree with that," but and just like walks away.
That is pretty funny, and you forget he's in that because like that's kind of like right where he's starting to get in there and do some stuff. Like
Yeah,
so he starts
movie
out,
stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Augie makes fucking Paul Rudd a patch. And he's
That's
like,
where they finally connect. Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and again, this was funnier as a kid, but this woman wanting to fuck him all of a sudden, it's like, nah.
She's like, we're in a different area code, and you're like, ooh.
Nobody wants to fuck this guy. This chick might fuck somebody other than her husband, but it's not going to be this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't age well, and like that was such a trope.
And
of
he's like,
different
we should
area
take
codes.
pills and not try to fall asleep. And then obviously they fall asleep and don't fuck. Like what?
And they wind up
self-sabotage.
And that's
self-report.
And that's the whole setup, just so what's his name can see some boobs.
Yeah, exactly. Which again,
and then
boob comedy.
Yeah. Which
I'm
boob comedy
I like boobs, and sometimes
boob comedy doesn't have to be cringe, but like there's a certain stage where it just became so like forced, it just kind of loses the luster of it.
And then he says dinosaurs are not extinct or some shit when he's walking out there naked, and you're like, okay.
Oh, he's like, I gotta go pee.
There's almost a funny line there, but
yeah.
They show a montage of them hanging out all happy. This is one of the first montages, because there's another one later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another funny part is when he's like, tell her you long for her whispering eye.
Yeah.
And he's like, laughing his ass off. He's like, it means vagina. He's like, get your whispering eye in the car.
Yeah, like that's pretty funny, just because like okay, an innuendo and a teenager kid would be like, hey man, do you know what this means? Like that's like legit funny. Like
it's funny because he's also a geeky teenager, so it's like a whispering eye is probably a lair thing where it's among his friends they call pussy whispering eye and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's funny. He meets her for coffee.
Yeah,
and we get the first instance of who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
which is just classic. Because now he's in a Ghostbusters movie, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Waka, waka, waka.
Augie kills the king, but not really. And then this is a lot. It turns into plot.
I know, there's so much serious bullshit in here. Essentially, he has the change of heart, but the king fucks him over and kicks them both out of the group because Paul Rudd's being a dick about it. Which I get, but then he realizes he's got to do something for the kid. They get thrown out of the program, and then they got to go and do this for the kids, just for the kids. They skip their court date to do all this.
Yeah, because Wheeler went to bang the chick at the party, then they get in fist fight.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, the kid walks home because Wheeler's banging the nurse or the teacher from the school there.
Yeah, then you get the lonely montage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very tropey in some of this stuff.
Paul Rudd goes and gets him to let the king back. And then
he goes and tells him he casts some spell on him, and the guy's like, okay, whatever.
The mom and them have dinner.
And she's like, oh, you finally came over. I'm glad you're getting him out of this shit. They're really happy that he gets kicked out, and then, then that's where the real heartbreaking moment's supposed to take place.
Yeah.
And it just, they don't play it up enough, which, it's kind of cheesy as it is, so you don't need to do it up too much there. But
yeah, pretty much. I don't even need my notes at this point. They do the lair event at this point, and they all reconnect and get back together. And
that's one of the better sequences in the movie because the kiss, the Minotaur thing, it all kind of works. It's all kind of funny with the side characters. It works out well.
It's mildly entertaining. I'll give it that.
It
didn't hold up as well as I thought it would. I was kind of bored with it.
It was a lot better than most of the rest of the movie, though.
Yeah. You don't need me to agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Yeah, it did hold up quite as well as I thought.
Yeah, when I was going to go watch it, I was like, oh, that should be a funny one. I haven't seen that in a while. That's why I picked it. I was like, yeah, I haven't watched that in a couple of years.
We saw that in theaters together, I think.
Uh-huh.
Maybe with a few other people, but, yeah, I don't know. I like Paul Rudd, so it's the saving grace. I watched Cop Out the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Haven't seen it in years, and had a lot better time watching it than I thought I would. Tracy Morgan's fucking great in that movie. You need to watch it again, I promise you. There's a scene in the beginning where he goes in to interrogate a guy, and he's talking about how he's going to quote movies while he does it, basically. He's like, it's called an homage. I'm not ripping them off. And then he goes in there and he just starts quoting cop movies, but then he eventually just starts quoting all regular movies over and over. Just ridiculous shit that has nothing to do with anything while he's beating this guy up, basically.
That's awesome.
It's very weird and interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Check out Role Models. Check out Cop Out.
Did Role Models hold up for you, though? That's what I want to know to other people. I know we're kind of tearing it apart here, but it's just one of those that just didn't hold up going back to it.
Yeah, I still own it. I'll probably watch it again eventually, but...
Yeah, it's not one of those I'm like, ooh, I'm going to rewatch that again now. I'll wait a while again, But,
yeah. That era is definitely... It's become an era now. Because, these guys were kind of doing the Judd Apatow style, or what he popularized. Let's what we'll call it. The repopularization of... It was 80s styles movies. 40-Year-Old Virgin started it pretty much, where it's okay... We're doing sex and raunchy comedies again and shit. So, like the 80s. Late 70s and 80s. And so you got Superbad also, which obviously comes from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. And then they have their thing. You have Judd Apatow. You have him spewing off in all these other directions. And this is kind of obviously even related to that. Probably Judd Apatow probably produced this. I don't know.
Well, and Superbad holds up still just because... It's high school characters, so the cringy shit they're doing is shit that real kids do that's cringy.
Oh, Superbad's much better than this.
Oh, for sure. Hands down.
Fucking great movie still.
It holds up still.
I watched that last year and still had a great time with it.
I rewatched This Is 40 recently the other day, and that's really good too. It holds up great.
Yeah, I was never as big of a fan of that, but I did watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall recently, which Jason Segel wrote. And that still holds up. That's great.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. But there's some of those that almost have that timeless appeal, but what do you say? That's 2005 to 2015 where there's this whole spiel of...
A lot of that style, yeah.
That style comedy.
There was a sex tape movie even, remember that? Oh no, our sex tape is out. There was the Cockblock movie. There's movies about threesomes. There was that shitty movie about letting your husband sleep with other people.
Hall Pass.
Yeah, that's fucking trash.
I rewatched that recently just because Jason.
I never watched it. I refused.
Just because Jason Sudeikis is in it, right? You know, and that dude's got chops, but that movie is just like way underwhelming, and it's hilarious just because none of these guys can go get laid. Like they've got the open opportunity from their wives, and it held up okay, but it was just. It's not one of those movies you need to watch a lot, right? It's not one like, oh, I'm going to put that in because it's hilarious.
Another one, just very much like We're the Millers, which has some funny bits and pieces to it, but it's also another one of those that's like on the lesser end of that.
Yeah, it is, because that's so much like the RV movie in Vacation, but just mixed with like a twist.
A little raunchier, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that vibe of movie is what it's going for, that road trip vibe, even though they're like, yeah, we're going to make it raunchy. And interesting to look back at this period in comedy because...
Yeah, because that kid now is playing, what's-his-face in the Marvel movies. That ugly kid from We're the Millers.
Uh-huh.
He's not as ugly anymore, apparently, and he's playing Adam Warlock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah, so let us know what your favorite comedy from this area is, because Role Models has some moments that hold up, but for the most part,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Knocked Up is another one of those ones that's like, I like it, but Seth Rogen holds it together, so.
Yeah.
And the rest of the other, Jay Baruchel's in there, and so is Jonah Hill, and
yeah,
Jason Segel's in it, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I bet that's about it for this episode, I think, though. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of covers it.
All right, dudes and dudettes and themettes.
Major League Butt Kicking is back in town.
Sure.
That's
yeah,
a
we'll
Ninja
go with
Turtles
that.
line.
Yeah,
Dudes
I know.
and dudettes, and then you said theyettes.
Yeah, I said themettes, but theyettes. I don't
Themettes.
know, either one. Whatever sounds better to you.
It's a good question.
Good night, everybody.